Stop before you say a word about love, kindness, or moral obligations. Let's talk about the numbers. Most people want to turn this conversation into a debate about character or honor. They want to tell you that dating a single mother is the noble thing for a grown man to do. But the reality of the dating market in 2025 has nothing to do with nobility and everything to do with a cost-benefit analysis. Quality men, the ones with options, stability, and a high level of self-respect, are running these numbers every day. And for the vast majority of them, the math simply does not add up in her favor. This is not an attack on single mothers as human beings. Many are incredible women who have been dealt difficult hands and are doing their best. However, a romantic relationship is a partnership, and every partnership requires a calculated investment of resources. When a man looks at the deal on the table, he has to ask exactly what he is giving and what he is getting in return. In the case of a single mother, the investment is usually 100%, while the return is often less than 30%. Let us go straight to the first pillar of this harsh calculation, the massive disparity in resource allocation. When you date a woman without children, 100% of your shared resources go toward building a future together. Every dollar spent on dinner, every hour spent on vacation, and every ounce of emotional energy is an investment in your joint legacy. But the moment a child enters the equation from a previous relationship, that investment is instantly diluted. You are expected to provide the resources and protection of a father, but you are receiving the attention of a part-time girlfriend. She is exhausted from work and parenting before you even step through the front door. Her emotional bandwidth is already stretched to its absolute limit by the time she sees you. By the end of the day, she has nothing left to give you but the scraps of her energy. You are paying for a premium, full-price experience but receiving a heavily discounted version of her affection. Think about the spontaneity that defines a truly great and exciting relationship. In a normal dynamic, you can decide to drive to the coast on a Friday night or stay in bed until noon on a Sunday. With a single mother, every single second of your time is dictated by a rigid custody schedule. You are not just dating her, you are dating her calendar, her babysitter's reliability, and her children's nap times. You are a high-value man who has worked incredibly hard for your freedom and your resources. Why would you trade that hard-earned freedom for a situation where you are constantly the third or fourth priority? This leads us to the second pillar of the math, the eternal triangle of the ex-partner. In every other area of life, when a relationship ends, you close that door and move on with your life. But when children are involved, the ex-husband or the biological father is a permanent fixture in your living room. He has a legal right to contact your partner whenever he chooses. He dictates the holidays, the weekends, and often the overall financial mood of your household. You are inviting another man's drama, his past failures, and his opinions into your private space forever. Even if he is a good guy, his existence creates a psychological tension that never fully resolves itself. You will see his face in the features of the children. You will hear his name in the daily conversations. And during every major family crisis, she will call him before she calls you because he is the father. You are merely the optional add-on in a pre-existing system that was built long before you arrived. You are an outsider who is paying the high admission price for a show you did not produce. Let us talk about the step-parent trap, which is perhaps the most dangerous part of this entire equation. In this trap, you are expected to take on the heavy responsibilities of a parent without any of the authority. You are expected to help with the bills, provide emotional support, and be a constant role model. But the second you try to provide necessary structure or discipline, you are reminded that you are not the real dad. You have all the liabilities of a family man with none of the security or legal standing. If the relationship ends tomorrow, you have no legal right to see those children ever again. You will have spent years of your life and thousands of your dollars investing in people who can be erased from your life in an instant. From a logical investment perspective, this is a zero-security asset with an incredibly high maintenance cost. Quality men do not put their resources into assets they do not own, control, or have a legal stake in. It sounds cold to some, but in the world of adult relationships, it is a vital survival mechanism. Now, we must address the biological mandate that every man carries deep within his DNA. Evolutionary psychology tells us that men are hardwired to provide for and protect their own genetic line. When you invest in another man's children, you are essentially helping a competitor's legacy survive at the expense of your own. For men who still want biological children of their own, dating a single mother is a massive, high-risk gamble. She may already be done with the stress of having more kids. Her body may be tired from previous pregnancies and the toll of raising toddlers. Her time and energy are already spread incredibly thin among her existing children. Many men spend their prime years helping a woman raise her kids, only to realize at age 45 that they missed their window. The bitterness that results from that realization can destroy a man's soul and his outlook on life. You find yourself waking up in a house full of teenagers who do not look like you and do not truly respect you, all while you realize you traded your own biological legacy for the convenience of hers. Let us look at the marketplace from a macro perspective to understand the real dynamics. A successful man in his 30s or 40s has more options than he has ever had before. The dating market for a high-value man actually becomes more favorable as he grows older and more stable. On one side, he sees a woman with no children who is eager to build a legacy from scratch with him. She offers flexibility, her full attention, and a clean slate for their future together. On the other side, he sees a single mother who comes with a prepackaged life and significant emotional baggage. Why would he choose the more complicated, more expensive, and less rewarding option available to him? People will call this shallow, but it is actually a profound reflection of high self-worth. A man who knows his value does not accept the scraps of someone else's life and call it a feast. He understands that his time is the most precious and finite commodity he owns. Spending that precious time navigating the drama of a broken family is a poor use of his life force. We also have to consider the judgment factor, which is a silent killer of respect. Single motherhood is often the result of a series of very poor choices in romantic partners. A quality man looks at a woman's past behavior as a strong predictor of her future judgment. If she chose to have children with a man who is now absent or problematic, what does that say about her vetting process? Why should you be the one to pay the ultimate price for her previous mistakes in judgment? In the business world, you would never take over a failing franchise with massive debt and no growth potential. Yet men are told they are unmanly if they do not do exactly that in their romantic lives. This narrative is carefully designed to shame men into accepting bad deals that do not benefit them. But the modern man is finally waking up to his own worth. He is realizing that being alone is far superior to being in a relationship where he is undervalued and overworked. The peace of mind that comes with a simple, drama-free life is worth more than any companionship with baggage. When a man chooses to stay single rather than date a single mother, he is not being a coward. He is being a wise steward of his own happiness and his own future. He is refusing to enter a hostage situation that has been disguised as a modern romance. Let us talk about the emotional exhaustion that inevitably comes with these lopsided dynamics. A single mother is often in a permanent state of survival mode. She is looking for a partner who can be a provider, a protector, or a fixer for her life. She needs someone to help her carry the heavy load of her existing responsibilities. But a relationship built on need is never as strong or as fulfilling as a relationship built on want. You want a woman who wants you for who you are as a man, not for what you can do for her kids. You want a woman who has the energy to be a lover, not just a co-manager of a chaotic household. When you are always the second priority, the romance and the passion die very quickly. Date nights get canceled at the last minute because the kid has a fever or a bad dream. Spontaneity is replaced by weeks of logistical planning and babysitter negotiations. The bedroom eventually becomes a place of rest for her, rather than a place of passion for the two of you. Slowly but surely, your enthusiasm for the relationship begins to wither away. You start to feel resentment toward the children, even if you try your hardest to be a good person. You start to resent the ex-husband every time his name or his drama pops up on her phone. And eventually, you start to resent yourself for settling for far less than you truly deserve. This is the hidden cost that no one in the mainstream media ever wants to talk about. It is the psychological erosion of a man's spirit when he lives a life that is not truly his own. Quality men are realizing that they do not have to be the supporting actor in someone else's story. They can be the protagonist and the hero in their own story. They can travel the world, build their empires, and wait for a partner who can match their investment. The supply of high-value men is low, and the demand for them is incredibly high. In any market, when you have a high-value product, you do not sell it for a massive discount. You wait for the right buyer who can provide the right terms and the right value in return. Dating a single mother is, by its very definition, a discounted deal for the man involved. You are giving the same amount of effort but receiving a small fraction of the reward. If you are a man listening to this and you are feeling guilty for wanting more out of life, you must stop. Your preferences are valid and your standards are your own. Your desire for a simple, peaceful life is not a character flaw or a sign of immaturity. Your need to be a priority in your own romantic relationship is a basic human requirement for happiness. Do not let a shaming society pressure you into a life of quiet and bitter desperation. The noble path of raising another man's kids often leads to a lonely old age with no legacy to call your own. The kids grow up, they move on, and they often prioritize their biological father in the end. The mother's attention remains on them even when they have left the nest, and you are left sitting there wondering where your prime years went and what you have to show for them. Take a very hard and honest look at the math of your life. Calculate the hours of stress and drama versus the hours of genuine peace and joy. Calculate the dollars spent on your own future versus the dollars spent on someone else's past. Calculate your emotional return on investment over the long term. If the numbers do not add up, you have every right in the world to walk away. Walking away is not an act of malice, it is a profound act of self-respect. It is a declaration to the world that your life, your time, and your resources have value. It is a firm refusal to be used as a utility for someone else's convenience. The most powerful thing a man can do in the modern world is say no to a bad deal. Because once you say no to the wrong situation, you finally create the space for the right one to arrive. A relationship should be a place where you go to thrive and grow, not a place where you go to be a safety net. You deserve a partner who is capable of giving you her absolute all. You deserve a future that is completely unburdened by the ghosts of a past you did not create. You deserve to be the first choice, not the convenient backup plan. So the next time someone tries to tell you that you are being selfish, just smile. Because selfish is often just the word people use for a man who has finally realized his true worth. Stand firm in your standards and do not waver. Protect your peace of mind at all costs, and never ever settle for a lopsided equation that drains you. Because in the end, the only person truly responsible for your happiness is the man in the mirror. Make sure the math works for you, not just for everyone else. Because if it does not, no one else is going to pay the heavy bill for your eventual regret. Choose wisely and choose with your head, not just your heart. Value your legacy and your future more than someone else's convenience. And keep your standards as high as the life you have worked so incredibly hard to build. This is the harsh but necessary reality of the modern dating market. It is not a personal attack. It is just simple math. Thank you for listening to this truth today. If this resonated with you, please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let us keep this vital conversation grounded in truth, logic, and self-respect. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused on your goals, and always run the numbers before you commit.